this is the first time in history, in the world's history, where you have a chance to be financially free being born anywhere in the world. Historically, if you're born in a country where the government doesn't have their shit together, your financial freedom is bastardized because you rolled, you lost the being born lottery. You were born in the wrong country and now you're financially, screwed for forever. That's insane to me. This is the first time in history where everyone on the planet can have access to the same financial products and have access to financial freedom no matter where you're born. And so to me, that's wildly insane. And I don't know why that isn't like the most exciting, the most cool industry on the planet to work on.
GM, welcome to what's going to be another fantastic episode of DevNTell. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast held every week, allowing founders, hackers, and anyone in between to come on the podcast and showcase their product. And today I'm ecstatic to welcome one of the true OGs in the blockchain space, in Patrick Collin, who's the co-founder of Cyfrin. So if you didn't know, Cyfrin helps secure the blockchain and its users through institutional level smart contract audits, tools, and education. So if you stick around for today's episode, you'll see Patrick give us an overview of the Cyfrin platform, its origin story, and how you can get started with it today. All right, let's get into it. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode of DevNTell is brought to you by our friends at Arbitrum. Arbitrum is a technology suite designed to scale Ethereum. You can use Arbitrum chains to do all the things you do on Ethereum, but your transactions will be cheaper and faster. With over 3.8 million ETH saved, 1.69 million active wallets, and over 1.7 billion total transactions, why would you want to settle for any less? Get started today by exploring Arbitrum's comprehensive docs and tutorials linked in the description below to help you get started launching your next dApp today. Now, on to today's show. GM. Welcome to the show, Patrick. Ecstatic to have you on today, man.
GM, yeah, thanks so much for having me. I just had to share the tweet of this on Twitter.
Yes. Yes, awesome, yes. We had quite a bit of interest for this one, so I'm glad we could get this organized for folks.
Absolutely.
I know you have quite. Yeah.
I was just saying I can't see the chat, so whenever comments come in, I guess you'll just have to let me know.
Sure. There should be a comments tab on your.
Okay. If that one works for me, great.
Yeah. We will post a GM for the gang here.
Got it. I can see GM.
Excellent. I mean, you for the Web3 enthusiast, you need no introduction. But for folks who might be new to the space, would you like to give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Patrick Collin. I am the co-founder of the Cyfrin team, where we do security and education, as Narb pointed out in the beginning. And absolutely love this space, love everything about crypto, love everything about Web3. And yeah, security and education is kind of the main business of Cyfrin, but we really do anything and everything possible to make this space successful, because we love what this space has to offer. And we're really excited for the inevitability of the entire world to go Web3. So,
yeah, as am I. And I guess just curious, like, how did you find yourself in technology? Like, how did you get interested in tech itself and eventually found yourself in Web3?
Yeah, so tech itself was basically like I went to college, as many people, 10 years ago did. When they were like, I don't really know what the hell to do with my life next. They just went to college. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I took a computer science class. I was like, I'm pretty good at this. Let's keep going. I didn't have a whole lot of direction. When I got out of college, I started to be like, no, let's let's actually do something. Like, let's push, let's try to learn, let's try to grow. And I ended up kind of really luckily getting a job at like an asset manager or hedge fund as the lowest bottom barrel, dipshit. Can I swear on this, or are there children listening? Okay, cool. Lowest bottom barrel, like software engineer you could. Like basically, like my role was like it was like alpha support or like production support. I called myself a software support engineer. And I really wanted to get into finance and use my like tech background because I was fascinated by finance. I was like, how do these giant hedge funds work? How does money work? I just didn't know, and I wanted to learn as much as possible. So I got to work at this hedge fund, and I got to see exactly how it was like a $35 billion hedge fund. I got to see how like one of these hedge funds worked like end to end. So I was in charge of what's called alpha production, which all these hedge funds, they're always looking for this thing called alpha. So a little bit of a finance learning for people watching. Alpha is basically the amount gained like above some benchmark. The benchmark is often called like the beta. So you want to like outperform other benchmarks, right? So like the S&P or like index funds, indexes are often like the benchmark. So how much better is your hedge fund performing than, an index fund? In this way, you can go to clients, you can go to, enterprise people and say, hey, look, here's how much more money you would have made with us than if you had just invested in the S&P 500, right? So they're always looking for alpha. So alpha production is maybe I'm being too laborious with this intro here. Alpha production is the process of them, running all these models, these simulations, collecting data, and just running all their algorithms for like, what stocks are we going to trade today? What are we going to buy? What are we going to sell? That's it, right? So I got to see this whole thing, and I was absolutely blown away, and I was so excited that I got to learn all this stuff. But I also got to see where a lot of the issues were. Where are the slowdowns? Where is it not fair? Where are the information asymmetries? And after I left there, I worked for a data provider for a little bit. They sold like basically stock data, like data that these hedge funds would ingest to put into their alpha production cycles. And when I was there was when I started to learn about smart contracts. Historically, crypto to me was just like a thing you buy and sell. As with most people. And then I learned about smart contracts. I learned you could put data on those smart contracts. And I kind of was like super nerd sniped by that by itself. Really, really interesting. But then as I kind of like started going deeper into it, I was just kind of blown away by, oh my God, how much of a crazy, equalizer this could be. How much, basically like from my perspective, I was like, why, like, does the stock market even exist when we have this objectively better system? And so to me, I was like, holy shit, this is inevitable. I want to work on this, right? This sounds really cool. And even more than that, like one of my favorite kind of examples that I give now is, a lot of people meme on stablecoins, but stablecoins are this amazing product that we've never seen before in history. This is the first time in history, in the world's history, where you have a chance to be financially free being born anywhere in the world. Historically, if you're born in a country where the government doesn't have their shit together, your financial freedom is bastardized because you rolled, you lost the being born lottery. You were born in the wrong country and now you're financially, screwed for forever. That's insane to me. This is the first time in history where everyone on the planet can have access to the same financial products and have access to financial freedom no matter where you're born. And so to me, that's wildly insane. And I don't know why that isn't like the most exciting, the most cool industry on the planet to work on. So yeah, I'm giving the really long-winded answer here. So I was like, all right, this is amazing. Let's go deep into this. And I started working at Chainlink Labs for a few years. Absolutely loved working there. Fantastic place. I still love the product, still love the technology. But towards the end of my time there, I was getting more and more frustrated with people getting hacked. Because what we do is a double-edged sword, right? On the plus side, it's this amazing equalizer. Anybody on the planet can have access to this credibly neutral financial system, this credibly neutral technology. But the downside is, if something breaks, you have no one to go to. You just lose all your money. And so, yeah, kind of towards the end of my time at Chainlink Labs, I was like, why the f is everyone getting hacked? And it's the same stupid hack. And oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Why won't anyone do something? Why won't anyone fix this? Blah, blah, blah. And basically me and a few other kind of Web3 natives. I actually hate that term, but yeah, Web3 natives, if you will. We were like, okay, we're going to start a company we are going to fix this. We are going to be the ones to jump in because we're not happy with the state of things. And we wanted to do things differently, and I'm very happy. So Cyfrin, we've been around for around 2.5 years now. I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and I'm really excited for the work that we're going to do. So we approach this problem of security very differently than a lot of the other security firms. Yes, we work with some of the largest, smart contract clients in the industry. We work with MetaMask, Linea, ZK Sync. The new MetaMask update was 7702, like EIP 7702. We did the audit for the delegation of that. So if you use MetaMask as of today, you're probably working with Cyfrin audited code. So we work with some of the best people in the industry, and we work one-on-one, and we help one-on-one, and we help as many big projects as possible. But we also think that that's not enough. If we go around one at a time, we'll help one project at a time. When it's the whole industry, we need to level up. And that's why we pour so much energy into education, making sure people know themselves how to level up as auditors, how to level up as developers, because we think that's the only way to bring this whole space to fruition. And from a business perspective, it's actually quite stupid that we do this, because we will get into bidding wars with Cyfrin Updraft graduates who learned security from us. And from a business perspective, it's kind of really stupid to literally be like, hey, come to our industry and come learn this stuff. But we think it's so important that we still do it. And at the end of the day, we are going to do whatever it takes to make this industry safer. And we have a lot of issues in this industry, and we're fighting really, really hard to fix it, either through education, directly working with clients, building open source tooling. We build a ton of open source tooling and just everything. So that's my super long-winded intro. Sorry, that was a long.
No, that was amazing. That was wonderful, and thank you for getting into so much detail. I mean, I was going to ask you some of those questions you already touched on.
Great.
But myself, I got introduced to yourself when you were at Chainlink. I actually learned my first smart contract coding from some of your videos when you were doing the Chainlink demos. Yeah, and I've taken some of your course content from Updraft as well. So you guys are doing wonderful work, Saints work. So definitely keep it up. And I mean, we need more people being security conscious around smart contract development. So I know you're it's kind of cannibalizing your own market share, but I think it's for the better. As long as people know how to properly code smart contracts, I think it's worthwhile.
Definitely.
100%. And you're also quite the avid lifter. From some videos, I'm a lifter myself. So
hell yeah.
Just curious, how did you get into lifting?
So I call myself a backyard athlete. I'm I consider myself a very true CrossFitter, in the sense that I will never be the strongest lifter. I will never have the highest endurance. But I will be pretty good at both. I can rock up to a weightlifting competition, hold my own. I could go, run a marathon. It would be a terrible marathon, but I could do it. I like being able to just be fit, and that's kind of what I wanted to. That's how I got into it. So when I graduated school, I did kind of the whole classic bodybuilder split. You go to the gym, you do push-pull legs or whatever. And I would be super active for 2 months. And then I hated it. I hated being in the gym for 90 minutes and just being all right, now I got to do my curls. And now I got to do my whatever the hell you do in the gym for a class. I hated it. I hated it. I hated being alone and putting my headphones on. And I was okay, sports. I like sports. I want to go, let me go play a sport. But I wanted to play a sport where I would get in better shape and be more fit. And I felt none of the sports, I wouldn't be as fit as I would want to be, because I could go play basketball and then still feel I would need to go to the gym. And then I felt CrossFit, which is the sport of fitness, which is kind of silly. And I remember being thinking it was so stupid and the pull-ups are so dumb. But then I started doing it. I had a really good time. There's it's got an amazing community. And I'd never done Olympic lifting before, and Olympic lifting is the most fun thing ever. Do you do Olympic lifting or is it more powerlifting?
It's more of like a hybrid between like bodybuilding and powerlifting.
Hell yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. So if you ever get a chance, you got to try Olympic lifting. So it's really hard, and it takes like 6 months to even feel competent with what you're doing because it's so technical. But oh man, like hitting like a heavy clean, oh, you feel like that's just like such a badass. Like
Badass, yeah.
yeah, like I know, like hitting like a heavy bench, you're like, like I'm sick, or like a heavy squat, but like hitting a heavy clean, oh man, like there's it's just so explosive. Like Narb, I highly recommend if you're ever in Boston, man. I'm being dead serious. I've actually brought clients to CrossFit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I brought audit clients to CrossFit. I'm like, yo, you got to work out with me. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, if you're ever in Boston, I would love to live with you, dude. I think that'd be so fun.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. If I'm ever in town, I'll hit you up.
Yeah. What about you? What got you into lifting?
Yeah, for me, personally, like when I was a bit younger, I was a bit overweight, so I kind of just started lifting and lost a bunch of weight, and it kind of just stuck on to me as like a habit that I can't and won't ever get rid of. So
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Good for
it's just like a magic pill, right? It's like
brushing your teeth.
Or, yeah, brushing your teeth. Yeah, you just like up and at 'em, just an hour in, heavy lift. Yeah,
dude,
nothing better than that.
It's such a mood like uplifter. You're like frustrated with work or something goes bad, you go to the gym and you just get your ass kicked for an hour, and yeah, it's actually surprisingly like a pretty big thing in the security community. Like a lot of the security people, like they are all like avid lifters, which I think is awesome because it's also like promoting more healthy habits, getting out the door, like like I consider myself a hardcore like nerd, like like if I didn't have the gym, I wouldn't leave my apartment. Like I'm like I would go hang out with my girl, and that's like it. Other than that, I would just stay and these four wall, you know what I mean? So yeah, get out the door, get healthy. It's good. It's good for your brain. It's good for your brain.
100%, man. Yeah, I can't agree more. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, if you're watching this today, maybe go hit the gym for the first time. You won't regret it.
Or hit us up on Twitter. Ask for we'll give you the bro tips because neither one of us are actual fitness like instructors. We'll just be like, just like push pull legs, baby. Like hit a sick clean, dog. Yeah,
that's right.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I guess without further ado, I will bring up the stuff you have prepared for us.
Great.
Yeah, the stage is yours, my man.
Great. 1 second here.
And folks, as Patrick is going through his content, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat and we will get those questions answered for you.
It's a little warm here in Boston. Not quite as warm as it was in France, but a little warm here. So today we're going to do a little brief rundown of just introduction to security and auditing, basically. So a lot of people who have gone through the security curriculum on Cyfrin Updraft, this will be a refresher for you. But if you've never done anything in security, this is perfect for you. If you have done something in security, you want to learn more. If you want to kind of be informed about what this process looks like so that when you build a protocol, you can know, exactly what your auditors are doing, this is for you. Or if you want to be a developer and you want to have your code actually be good, like this is important to know. So one of the things that we've seen kind of in this industry, especially with the rise of AI, writing code is becoming easier and easier to do, which is good. We want it to be cheap to write code because AI can help you a lot of times with writing code. However, writing good code is still pretty much just as hard, right? So, you can write a protocol where an AI can help you write most of it, but you still need a human being to go through your code to make sure it's secure because there's been a lot of advances with AIs, finding bugs, but it's still not good enough to rely on, not even close to good enough to rely on. So no matter what, at the moment, like this is still important. And one of the main differences between Web 2 and Web 3 security, I should stop using those terms, about traditional engineering and blockchain engineering is in traditional engineering, if you build a website and your website is like, oh, look, save pictures of your cat, if that website gets hacked, oh no, like all the pictures of my cat have been, out on the internet for free. Woe is me. Or my data has been released, although data being released is actually quite bad for other reasons. But usually kind of the damage can be kind of like a little bit abstract. Whereas in blockchain world, the damage is immediate and it's financial. We've seen the largest hack of all time happen a few months ago in the Bybit hack. $1.4 billion stolen in an instant. $1.4 billion. That's bigger than, I'm pretty sure that's bigger than any bank heist that's ever happened. And it was instant, right? So the risks of getting something wrong in this industry are quite high. So you really, 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 really want to make sure you have this down. And we're moving to a meta where the best developers are security researchers themselves because of how high the risks are. So basically, if you want to be a good developer, you need to know everything we're going to be talking about here. So with that being said, let's go in. Just kind of a quick refresher. Once again, I'm CEO and co-founder of Cyfrin. We work with, like I said, MetaMask, Consensus, Chainlink, ZK Sync, Circle. I'm a developer and security researcher. I've been in this industry for 5 or 6 years now. And also the lead instructor on Cyfrin Updraft, which is our education platform. You can go get certified in different skills like smart contract development, wallet signatures, and you can learn everything for absolute free because we believe that knowledge wants to be free. And that's something we hold very, very strongly. So here's kind of the agenda of what we're going to go through. Why security? What is Web3 security? What's the opportunity? Some prerequisites, talk about the audit process and go through some tools. And then these are kind of some of the tools that we're going to go through. So this is going to be just kind of a primer on security. What is security? Smart contract security? How does it work? And then any questions that you guys have, like as we go through, please feel free to ask. And then questions at the end as well. So a bit of a quick primer, although I pretty much already talked about this, is why is Web3 security so important? And this is why. So this is a list of this website, rect.news. The eco-friendly rug pull. So this is a website, absolutely love Rect News. They very humorously kind of go over different attacks that happen in the industry. And if you'll notice, July 3rd, July 2nd, June 22nd, June 24th, this is like about a week. And this is 4 high-profile hacks that made the news. Usually kind of in the first blob, you can see how much. Okay, 12 million, 10 million, 200K. Oh, this was actually much bigger because the tokens dumped to 99. The token value went to 0 in an instant. So you can see this happen quite often, which this is basically what I was reading when I worked at Chainlink Labs, and I was quite frustrated that this happened. So these hacks happen quite often, unfortunately, and for a lot of money. Like I said, Bybit, $1.4 billion. It's the largest hack of all time, not just Web3. That is $1.4 billion that was stolen in an instant. It's the largest heist of all time. So why is security so important? Well, spending $2 million on security versus getting hacked for $200 million is a 99% reduction in costs. So it maths out quite well. Now, this is kind of like a humorous way to put this, but usually in most protocols, this 200 million is not your money. This is $200 million of somebody else's money, of your client's money. It is quite unacceptable to lose somebody else's money. So yeah, if you're going to build a protocol where other people's money is going to be on chain, you damn well sure better take the time to make sure it's secure. This chart is a little bit outdated, but yearly total value stolen in crypto hacks and the number of hacks kind of across the years. We can see 2021, 2022 have the biggest numbers, but you can actually see the total number of hacks kind of still has this upward trend. 2021 and 2022, the amount of money in the industry was a lot higher, and people were a lot less secure. We're getting more secure, but attackers are also getting more aggressive. And especially with stablecoins kind of having this dominant play, we are about to see a lot more money enter the industry. Robinhood just launched an announcement with Arbitrum, sponsor of this show here. Thank you, Arbitrum. So we're expecting to see more money coming into the industry, and therefore we're probably going to see this number go up and up and up. How much time do I have left, by the way? I'm already taking too much time.
Do your thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try to hit the beyond the hour here. So what is Web3 security involved? Well, it involves a lot of things. Some of the most common ones are going to be the audit, a bug bounty, and sleuthing. And these are kind of what I consider kind of the three, big parts, kind of like of post-development security. Now, this is kind of not totally true, because security starts from when you write the first line of code. If you architect a protocol poorly, you could have to start over, right? So you really want to be thinking about security from day one. And this is why, Cyfrin Updraft and us so importantly are like, hey, we want to shift security left onto the developers. So that's kind of the narrative: shift left, make developers more aware of security. And again, that's one of these things that other audit firms might not do, because they want to shift everything right, because that's how they get paid. We think that's net bad for the industry. We want developers to be smarter, to be more informed, to write code better. And then actually we think that will be better for us in the long run, because then, when the code gets to us, it will actually be high quality, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on really silly low-hanging fruits or silly bugs that somebody else could have found, and we can focus all of our time on finding those really tough to find ones, right? So the audit is going to be kind of this, basically a security review of what is this code, is it secure? Basically, you have one or several security researchers who literally go line by line, reading every single piece of code, trying to find, hey, where does this code not do what it's supposed to do? Bug bounties are this really important narrative right now. Immunify is one of the largest bug bounty platforms in the industry, where once you deploy your code to production, you have some type of way for people who find bugs in live code to A, get rewarded for finding the bugs, and then B, responsibly disclose those vulnerabilities. And that's really important, this concept of responsible disclosure, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that. And then sleuthing or tracing, what a lot of people call them, is when a hack does happen, how do you find out who did it, or follow the money? That way, you could figure out how to go after these people who have conducted a hack. So like Etherscan, TRM, chain analysis, these are some of the tools that will do that. So a typical protocol, kind of the end-to-end kind of security flow, is they're going to use these different security tools. They're going to use security tools to build. They're going to get a security review / audit before they deploy. And then after they deploy their protocol, they're going to monitor the code base. They're going to post bug bounties, maybe set up a security council. But kind of these are some of the main things to think about when you're building a protocol. So the opportunity, why get into security? Why would it be cool for someone to become a security researcher, to become somebody who's into hunting for bugs? And it goes back to this. There's definitely a monetary aspect here. There's a lot of money to be made in the security field. Like I said, spending $2 million in security is a whole lot better than spending $200 million getting hacked, right? So you can do very well in the security field if you're amongst the best. Now, that's the hard part, is you do have to be kind of cream of the crop. This is one of those industries where the best people get most of the clients, and rightfully so, right? Because as a protocol, as a client, I only want to work with, the people who are actually going to make sure all my bugs, actually going to give me a higher security assurance. But the beauty is, the path is the most straightforward out of any career, in my opinion, in the entire world. People are always asking me, Patrick, how can I get a job? How can I get an internship? How can I do this? How can I start making money? For most jobs, the path is like kind of fuzzy. It's like, oh, hey, go learn this stuff and then go apply and then try to, make some projects, and then hopefully somebody notices you, hopefully you get an interview, and you're kind of like, there's a lot of like, hopefully somebody picks you up. In the security realm, there is no hopefully. You will earn money if you find bugs. That is it. So the path, go to Cyfrin Updraft, go to the, we have a careers page actually. If I go to Updraft, explore all courses, where is it? Career track. If you go to the career track, there is a security auditor career track. Take these courses in the career track. That's step one. Then go to competitive audit platforms like CodeHawks, go to bug bounty platforms like Immunify, and you will make money. That's it. If you perform well, if you find bugs, you will make money right away. If you find a lot of bugs, if you find a lot of issues, people will want to hire you. That's it. It's super straightforward. Now, the downside of this is just because it is straightforward, it doesn't mean it is easy. You have to find bugs that everyone else couldn't find. So it is not easy, but it is straightforward. And I want to make that very clear. Learn, apply and earn, repeat. That's it. That's the path. So go to CodeHawks, go to C4, Immunify, find bugs. And the thing is, your first couple of competitive audits, your first couple of bug hunts, you won't find anything. And you will get your ass handed to you, and you will perform very poorly. But that's fine. Everyone started. The first time everyone did this, they were terrible, right? You just keep trying to get better and better and better. And eventually, you will find stuff that nobody else can find, and you will get better. So competitive audits, if you've never seen these before, these are this fantastic security kind of primitive that we have these days, where you take a code base, you put basically a bounty on it. You say, hey, whoever finds the most bugs on this code base in this short amount of time wins X amount of dollars. So, and you can kind of see like a leaderboard here from CodeHawks. That is one of the platforms that the Cyfrin team runs. And this is a way to win money, help secure the code base. And we've seen fantastic security results from these competitive audits for the clients as well. Because when you have, 100 people looking at the code base, that can often perform better than, just 2 or 3. There's a lot of distinctions between competitive and private audits, and they both have advantages and disadvantages. But from my perspective, competitive audits and bug bounties are still the best way to get into security, full stop. So let's talk about the audit process. There's no silver bullet to the audit process. There's no silver bullet to finding bugs, but there's typically kind of a process, a 4-step process here, essentially. Like the actual process kind of varies. But first, for any audit, you first want to figure out what the scope of the review is. What specific contracts are you reviewing? How many lines of code is it? What is the commit hash? What exactly are you reviewing, right? Because if I have some code and I forgot to add a function and I add the function later, but my security researchers are, doing the code without the function, maybe that function is super key to the security of the whole system, right? So what exactly are we auditing so that the auditors don't waste time on things that aren't going to be in the code or are going to be the code or et cetera, right? This is the scoping phase. What exactly are we auditing? Then you get into what I call the recon phase. And this is where the auditors are kind of doing the grunt of the work, or the brunt of the work, excuse me. They're manually reviewing the code. They're literally reading your documentation. They're reading your code. They're looking for issues. They're using tools as well. Maybe they're fuzzing, static analysis tools. Maybe they're using AI. Vulnerability identification. Obviously, as they're doing this, they're looking for bugs. And then the final step is actually reporting. And this is actually a really important step. If you find bugs, but you can't communicate that effectively to your partner, to your client, it's worthless, right? Like you need to be able to effectively tell them, hey, here's the bugs, here's how you fix them. And there needs to be an understanding, right? And this actually can kind of go both ways, because often a lot of time, junior new security researchers, they go, oh my God, I found a bug and I can destroy this code base and blah, blah, blah. And then when they go to report it, the client will go, oh no, that actually doesn't work. And here's why. And and not having and having like the feedback from the client can be really really important. And that reporting phase is really important because that'll also give you feedback on do you know what the hell you're talking about, right? There's some pretty famous stories of like security firms reporting bugs, the client then saying like, oh, those bugs don't exist, and then the security firm looks kind of embarrassed. So a lot of this is going to be just like reading code. So like this is kind of a little bit more in depth of the job. Like most of the job of security researchers is just like reading. You do a lot of reading. This joke is kind of outdated because nobody uses Stack Overflow anymore. Everyone uses like Cursor or Claude or whatever. But there's always this kind of like joke of like trying random stuff instead of like reading the docs. As a security researcher, you are doing a lot of reading, and you have to do a lot of reading to be good at what you do, because the main thing that you need to do is you need to understand what the protocol should do. And what you're essentially doing is you're looking for asymmetries between what the protocol should do and what the protocol actually does. And then just with this, like anything, repetition is the mother of skill. The more you do this, the better and faster you get at it. So as a really simple example here, we have like a code base here. It's called contract caught with test. You have this set number functionality. If you don't know what this set number function is supposed to do, you might look at this and go, oh, this looks fine. There's no issues here. But, maybe you read the documentation. It says, oh, set number is supposed to set the number to the new number. Then you would go, okay, well, it's doing new number plus 1. That's clearly wrong. That's a vulnerability here. We need to fix that. But with this kind of contract as written, there's no kind of documentation here. It's really, you could kind of infer that set number shouldn't be adding 1. But without the documentation, you can't be sure, right? So this is why, from a protocol perspective, writing documentation will actually improve your security, because you can define exactly what the code should do, right? So that the manual reviewers can get it right. Now let's talk a little bit about tooling. So like I said, we'll get into some specifics here. What are the tools that security researchers are using today? Manual reviews, like I said, actually going through the code, reading by line by line. Test suites are super important. So like Foundry, Hardhat, Moccasin, Apeworks, Truffle's dead, so I got to get rid of that. Security researchers, they write proof of codes, which is like proof that a bug exists in these test suite. Whenever you find a bug, you really want to prove that it actually exists and that it's exploitable. So these are some of the main tools people use. As of today, Foundry is definitely the most popular by far, which is why we teach it on Cyfrin Updraft as well. Although Hardhat just had this amazing revitalization. So they're great to check out. Moccasin's one that we made for the few Viper developers out there. And there's some other frameworks as well, like Anchor for Solana, et cetera, et cetera. So static analysis. This is a tool you pretty much should always be running, even as developers, before it even gets to the security researchers. These are kind of what I call like dumb tools, where they just kind of like automatically check the code. They look for pattern matching. Two of the biggest ones are Darren, that's one that we actually build, and Slither, that's by the Trail of Bits team. And yeah, essentially they're just looking for patterns, right? Like a common one is going to be like a reentrancy vulnerability. If you have code that can call itself back, that's like a reentrancy. That's pretty easy to find with one of these static analysis tools. It's called static analysis because you don't actually run any code. It's like a tool can just like look for patterns and just like read, and can find these by reading the code. Like AI, in a sense, could also be considered like a static analysis tool. Hey, read this code and look for look for bugs. Kind of the next level up after static analysis is going to be fuzz testing. This is another one of these tools that developers should be very good at and should be very familiar with. Fuzz testing, also known as fuzzing, basically involves providing random data as inputs during testing. So kind of as an analogy, if you're... testing the the strength of like a hat, for example, like if that's what you're doing, fuzzing would be like doing different things to the hat to try to like break it. Like maybe you karate chop it and you go, okay, karate chop didn't work. You throw it, okay, be like, all right, throwing didn't work. Maybe you take some scissors and cut it and be like, oh, scissors, I was able to cut it. So you're basically like doing random stuff to some smart contracts to try to break it. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most effective techniques, especially when it comes to smart contract development. However, kind of knowing where the limitations of fuzzing are really what makes fuzzing kind of difficult. If you just say, oh yeah, like you can, let's fuzz this smart contract and just allow any bytecode in the world to, be sent to it. Well, it's going to take a computer, millions of years to come up with like every different scenario. So you really want to scope it like, okay, we're going to say this subset of random data or blah, blah, blah. And this kind of gets into the tooling. So Echidna, Medusa, Foundry, these are all some of the most popular fuzzers. Medusa is kind of the one that's one of the front runners as of today. There's also some paid fuzzers like GetRecon, Consensus Diligence, fuzzing, that do really well. And fuzzing is really, really important to your security journey. And then kind of one of the final tools that a lot of people in the smart contract space use is a thing called formal verification. And the definition here is basically just kind of converting your code to a mathematical proof. So yeah, it's a generic term for applying formal methods to verify the correctness of hardware. And so in the smart contract space, we kind of consider smart contracts like hardware. Usually kind of people's eyes glaze over when I say the actual definition of formal verification. So then I usually just say, take solidity math, take a solidity function and turn it into math. Math can be solved. Solve for X, right? That's formal verification. So one of the most popular ways to do this formal verification is this thing called symbolic execution, which is the actual process of like converting it to math. You basically convert your functions to a mathematical expression. And then you say, okay, can X be, what it shouldn't be, or blah, blah, blah. So some of the most popular formal verification tools are going to be like Certora, Halmos. Solidity actually comes built in with an SMT checker, which is a type of formal verification tool. And this is a much more niche tool, formal verification, because it most of the time, fuzzing is going to do what formal verification does for like 1/10 of the effort. Whereas formal verification, it's going to be quite time laborious. It's depending on the methodology, right? It can be a little bit more time intensive for not that much more gain, right? So this is another one of these tools that, in my opinion, if you know how it works, you will figure out kind of the niche scenarios to apply it to. It's definitely very cool. It's definitely a fun nerd snipe. Finally, AI tools. AI is getting much better than when I made this screenshot. So this is like, which is heavier, 10 kilograms of iron or 10 kilograms of cotton? And it's like, ChatGPT, iron's heavier than cotton. Like, come on, they're both 10 kilograms, fam. But they're getting much better. So Dacian, our audit lead at our audit manager at the Cyfrin team, he actually recently did some really cool stuff with kind of priming an AI. We're doing a whole lot of research with AI. They're getting much better, but they still have a lot to go. So like they're getting better to the point where they can kind of help catch a lot of kind of low hanging fruit. But like replacing auditors, they're not quite there yet. So I went way over here. So happy to take any questions. Oh, cool. I do see some questions in here.
Yeah. We got some questions in, and no worries, man. So we can bring up Henry's first. So Henry's currently learning on Cyfrin. Content is so great, agreed. However, is the security market really expanding? I feel like there aren't as many competitive audits available. Yeah,
great question. So the competitive audits market is really interesting for a lot of reasons. So, I think so. C4 basically pioneered it back in 2020, I want to say, where they kind of took this formula of like, hey, let's do these open competitions, brought it to the Web3 space. And then I feel like yeah, like 2022, 2023 is when they started really like kind of being in their heyday, doing really well. There's been a lot of different approaches to competitive audits, and the market there's a lot of competitive audit platforms. So we're kind of seeing a lot of the margins on a lot of these kind of go down. So like a lot of these companies, from my perspective, this is just, so I obviously have a platform, CodeHawks, and everyone should use CodeHawks, and I do think I do think CodeHawks is the best objectively product out there. But I also understand that like with so much competition, the margins are a little bit slimmer. It's harder for just anybody running one to want to do one. We've seen a lot of the competitive audit companies also spin up a private audits branch where the margins are a little bit better. So there's that, which to me is kind of a travesty, because the competitive audits themselves, I think, are some of the best, dollar for dollar security that you can get if your goal is to mainly squash bugs. They do a great job at that. Whereas private audits are a lot better at like having a certain expert on some type of feature, getting kind of more tailored feedback, maybe more than just like, oh, here are bugs. Like competitive audits are really like, here are bugs. Whereas private audits can be more, oh, here's how we can increase your testing, and you didn't think about this. And, you can have lot more kind of strategic feedback to your protocol, as well as kind of getting specific experts. And then there's hybrid approaches of the two. But yeah, so we have seen less. There still are a lot. And I think the security market is still expanding. We're seeing so much money kind of flow into the industry, especially with stablecoins and stuff. There will be continued demand for security. But yeah, like a lot of companies, from my perspective, are kind of pushing for their private audit products. But the thing is that there's still competitive audits out there. They still do really well. I think they're still some of the best money, companies can spend. And they are still, even if they're super hard, they're still where security researchers should start, because you will get feedback immediately on how you do. Most platforms are pretty objective with their judging and with their scoring. You learn so much so quick. And then also, actually, if code hawks, I'm going to present again in just a second, or no, I won't. And then also, if you're getting into the industry and you want to get started with kind of this quick feedback, this quick turnaround on CodeHawks, we have these things called first flights, which are beginner friendly audits, where we've put in kind of like dummy bugs in them, so you can get started, you can get that turnaround, you can feel confident in doing these competitive audits because you already know what they feel like. So yeah, it's definitely expanding. I think the market is going in a lot of different directions, especially when it comes to these competitive audits. And I see like, yeah, people having different opinions on where these should go. I think, yeah, but like I said, a lot of money coming into this industry, especially with stablecoins and all these traditional finance people coming. And competitive audits, I think, are still some of the best, and we will continue to see competitive audits for a long time. So, yes,
hell yeah, great question, great answer.
Yeah, great question.
We'll squeeze one more in before we conclude today. James asks, what's the typical time frame a developer can effectively learn about security? I mean, it's probably not one size fits all, but like,
you got it. No, you got it. So it's different. Everybody's different. So I've seen people go to Cyfrin Updraft and start making money in security in as little as 2 months. That's like some of the quickest that I've seen. And that is a crazy pace. That is like them, waking up, living on Cyfrin Updraft, and then hammering the competitive audits scene. That is like you are living in Web3. Okay. I've also seen people, in my opinion, have a more realistic timeline of like a year and a half, 2 years, right? They spend 3 to 6 months on Cyfrin Updraft. They start doing some competitive audits, kind of gaining, growing, getting better and better. And yeah, like a lot of Cyfrin Updraft graduates work at some of the best places in the industry, right? We've got people who work at Trail of Bits, Open Zeppelin, MetaMask, Chainlink, you name it, right? Like there's Cyfrin Updraft graduates all over the place. So yeah, a more realistic timeline is like like a year or two. But if you're super motivated, if you're like, I'm hellbent on making money as soon as possible, you can do it in as quickly as 2 months. I will say it is very difficult to do that. Don't have that be your expectation. There's very, very few people who have done that. But if you have a realistic expectation of like a year or two, absolutely. You can absolutely make money and get a job in 2 years. If you perform really well, you make sure you just, every time you don't do well, you say, how can I be better? How can I improve? What bugs did I miss? What do I need to learn? What do I need to know? You will get there 100%. The path, like I said, the path is the most clear to success for security researchers. But just because it's clear doesn't mean it's easy. So, but it is the most clear. Great question.
Just like heavy lifting, right? It's like take that same mentality. It's like
actually spot on. Like if you want to lift a shit ton of weight, the path is super clear. Go to the gym 5 times a week and lift heavy weight. Doesn't mean, but that's not easy. Because you got to do that for months and months, right? So it's exactly the same thing. Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting how many parallels you can make to like real life from just like the things you do at the gym. But anyhow, Patrick, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to come on the show. It was wonderful. I know I learned a lot. I'm sure folks learned a lot. Final closing thoughts. Just if people join late, what's the best way for people to get started with Cyfrin today?
Yeah, so if you want to get started with Cyfrin and you want to learn, head over to updraft.cyfrin.io or just go to cyfrin.io. You'll see all the links there and you can start learning, like I said, for free. Start with blockchain basics and go as far as you want. If you want to just get jumping right into security, head over to CodeHawks. Do some of our competitive audits, do some of our first flights if you want to go there. If you're a protocol looking to get secured, go to our website and hit request a quote. We would love to speak with you. If you're a developer and you want to help contribute to a lot of the open source initiatives that we're working on, feel free to make a pull request, make an issue, or just jump into our Discord and say hi. So lots of ways to engage and reach out.
Boom, there you go. And with that, I just want to wish everybody a very happy start to their week, and that we will catch you back here on Friday, actually, for another episode of DevNTell. All right, with that, catch you next time.
Thanks all.
Cheers. If you enjoyed this episode of DevNTell, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. Till the next one, cheers.